So in the last session, we completed up to inventory information. We just configured inventory information for item master inventory. In today's session, we'll see how to set up receiving information for item master inventory. Okay, we'll see in the system. To set up or say to configure, you can use any terms. Generally, when you talk about these functionalities, whatever we are doing in the system, just try to use the same terminology which generally we use with our respective process or what exactly we do in our application environment. So I'm going to configure receiving information for item master inventory. But reality, we no need to set up receiving information for item master inventory. The reason is through receiving information, what we can do is we can specify how we are going to receive the material into organization, what are the controls we have to apply on the process of receiving, and other information, how the numbering should get generated when you are creating the receipts. That sort of information you can set up by using the receiving information. The receiving information only you can call as receiving options. Both are same. Okay, you can call as receiving information or receiving options. But for item master inventory, we no need to set up. But just for our practice, we are doing it. Anyway, when you are practicing, you can ignore it. Okay. So this is what we have to understand. Why we no need to set for item master inventory? Because here we are not at all going to receive any material into item master inventory. Just for item definition, we use item master inventory. That is the reason not required. But just we'll go and see in the system environment how to set it up if you want to set. But just now you can try to understand. But when you are practicing, just ignore this. Okay. Go to application. We are in inventory responsibility. So take the navigation, setup, organizations, and find our inventory, item master inventory. The name is ERP tree. So ERP tree, item master inventory. This is what we created in last session. Select and click on find. So click on others. So already we given accounting information, right? Just we'll go through it. Okay, already we given accounting information. This is what already we given. Since this is the item master, we didn't specify any operating unit. And in the last session itself, we given inventory information, right? Just we'll open and review that. So you can see all the details which we provided in the last session. Right, done. Now we are going to set up receiving information. Select receiving information. Here you can see the naming convention as a receiving information. Once you open that, once the system will open that page, you can see as a receiving options. That means both are same. You can call as receiving information or receiving options. Anyway, select receiving information, say okay. Now this receiving information or receiving options will be opened in web page, not as a form. Just select and say okay. Fine. See that now here you can see the name as the receiving options. We selected as a receiving information. Now system is displaying as receiving options. Remember, both are same. Now what level we are going to set receiving options? What purpose we set receiving options? When you are receiving the material into inventory organization, what are the controls we want to set it up in the system? How we want to make the process to behave in the process of receiving the material? The relevant options we have to set in the receiving options. So for that reason, we'll be setting the receiving options for specific inventory. Just for our understanding, we are setting for item master, generally not required. We'll be setting for the actual inventories, physical inventories only. Not an issue, just to understand. I'm just trying to do it here. So there are many options, but which are mandatory. Just will touch base on what exactly that and we'll proceed with that. You don't need to understand these all points very much detail level, since we are not going to work on inventory and other processes. But anyway, let's see which are mandatory. We'll talk about it. So receipt days early and receipt days late. These two fields you can see as a mandatory. What is the meaning of this? So here in the system you can specify, if I say, if I'm going to receive days early, say for example, I have a one I placed one purchase order. I requested the supplier to supply by March 10th. By March 10th. So supplier has to supply by March 10th. So if supplier is going to supply 10 days late or else 5 days late, okay, here I'll take 5 days late, what system, which action system has to take? So here say receipt days late. If you are going to receive 5 days late, receipt days exceed action. If it is just 5 days, what system has to do? 5 days or more than 5 days, the system has to reject receipt creation, or it has to just give the warning, and there won't be any action required even it's going to be late. That's how you can specify. In the same way, say you requested supplier to supply by March 10th, but supplier is going to supply on 2nd of March. So in that case, how system has to behave? I'm going to set, if it is going to be 5 days early or 5 days late, system has to give warning. It can be early receiving or late receiving, system has to give the warning if that is exceeding 5 days. Or you may have a policy in your organization you don't accept, you will be rejecting in case of 5 days early or 5 days late, or else this you can have a different also. Receipt days early, 10 days early means you will be rejecting. The same time 5 days late, even it's going to be 5 days late, you will be rejecting. But for both you cannot set different options. For 10 days, early and late you cannot set. For both we have a one control. In the same way, over receipt tolerance. Over receipt tolerance means, say you given the order for the supplier for 100 quantity and supplier is supplying 110 quantity. Okay, you placed order and you requested to supply 100 quantity worth 100 quantity material. Okay, so but supplier is supplying 110 quantity. So in that case, if you look at that quantity in terms of percentage, how much additional how much additional quantity you are getting, that in terms of percentage it would be 10. So here you can specify. So over receipt tolerance, if I say 5%, if I place the order for 100, if supplier is going to supply up to 5% extra, what action system has to take? 5 or more than 5. So maybe system has to give warning. Okay, if it is going to be 5 or more than 5, it has to give warning. Less than means you don't want to set any control, or else system, if supplier is supplying 10% extra on what exactly the quantity we ordered, system has to reject, because we placed order for only 100. On top of it, 10% or more than 10% extra quantity supplier is supplying. When you are recording the receipt, you are setting control here over receipt action, what system has to. System has to reject the receipt creation. These are all specifications you can do in the system, so purely related to inventory process. But here you don't need to go with all these options. Just for your understanding, I am explaining. So just keep it 0. That means we are not setting any control. Just I am setting none. Here also I'll specify 0. Since field is mandatory, I am filling with these values. Set none. That's all. And when we are receiving the material into organization, when I say organization, inventory organization. Okay, when we are receiving the material into inventory organization, so system has to generate the numbering for the receipt. So what, from where you want to start the numbering for the receipts? Here by default system is taking next receipt number as a 1. So if you keep it, if you accept the defaults, what system is taking, the first number would be 1, then 2, 3, 4, or else you may set it has to start from 1001. This sequence you may set up. So once you receive the material into in this inventory organization, okay, system will start creating the numbering. As we discussed already, for item master inventory we never receive the any receipts. We never receive the material. When you are not receiving the material, you don't need to create any receipts within this inventory. So in that, for that reason, it's not applicable. So just for your understanding, I'm doing, because again we'll be doing when we are going to work on actual inventory. At that time it will be easy for you. It will be second time, so it will be more, you will get more clarity. That is just I'm defining, since even system also will allow us to do this setup, even it's not required. Okay, So this is how just you can set it up. You can set any number here. You may just accept one. Let's just start with one. And here you have to provide these mandatory accounts, the receiving inventory account and the clearing account. So just click on search, and we given all for company, department, project, future 1 and future 2. For all these segments we specified default values, right? That is the reason system is fetching automatically except account. Now we can go and select account. So here search by account means number, or you can select description. Account means you have to enter the code, description means you can write exactly the name of account. Say here we have, think the account is inventory receiving account. So we have a, not this account, the account name is what we have, inventory receiving inventory account. Okay, receiving inventory account, search for that. Receiving inventory. So you have receiving inventory account, you can select. When you are practicing, if you don't find this account, okay, you can just create this account as a like by selecting the account type as asset. Then just click on create and select it. I'm sorry, select this code combination and click on select. Okay, just select receiving inventory account and just click on create. Then system will create the code combination by taking company, department, account, project, future 1 and future 2. Select that code combination, then click on select. Now we have one more mandatory account, that is clearing account. Just click on search, select inventory clearing account. Here you can go with the description. Inventory clearing account. We have inventory clearing account. Just select and click on create. So when you are working, what happens is we'll collect all the accounts. So when we are doing the system setups, which accounts required, and as per business process also, what are the all different accounts required, what are the accounts client is using in their business, all accounts will be collecting in spreadsheet, and those accounts will be loading into the system by using the data loader. I'll show you that process also, but initially we have to understand just how to enter through manual process. The same we gone through that process also, how to create the any segment values in the system through manual process. And for now we are using the operations account value set, where we have most of the accounts ready within that value set. So I'll show you how to load the just the mass value of accounts into system automatically by using data loader. Okay, just select and say select. So you selected. When you look at these receiving options, you don't see something else as a mandatory to set up to complete this receiving options configuration. Done, that's all. Now just click on save. If these options are if SCM consultant is going to set up these receiving options as per the client requirement, they'll look into all the points. Okay, whether client has a practice where they'll be creating the receipts without purchase order. In that case, they'll be enabling allow unordered receipts, means there won't be any purchase order, still system has to allow them to create the receipts. In that case, they will enable it. In the same way, like allow blind receiving, that these are the different features which are related to receiving inventory related process. Okay, so those are all we can set up as per client business requirement, but anyway it's not more related to us. So just we have to complete this receiving options, the basic details, wherever you find mandatory, fill it and complete and click on save. This is how you can complete the receiving options setup. Done. I'm just canceling. Canceling means it's like close, or else you can close it also directly from the browser. Done. So we're done with the receiving options. Now we'll go and create the actual inventory. Okay, we'll create the actual inventory. So to create the actual inventory, you can just from this organization form itself you can create, or else you can create the actual inventory from HRMS. From anywhere you can do it. In case of HRMS, this is the navigation. If you go to HRMS application, navigation, already we know already we created from here only. Business group, operating unit, and item master inventory, everything we created from here. Same navigation. Work structures, organization, description. If you take this navigation, the same form will open. If you click on new, here you can create. The same form is available from inventory also. That's it. So inventory super user, you can go to the inventory responsibility. You can access to the same form by taking navigation here. Setup, organizations. Navigation is different, okay, which is available from the two different applications. One is HRMS, the second one is inventory, but the form remains same. The function is remains same. It will open. Just click on new to create the new inventory. Now we'll create the actual inventory. I want to give the name as ERP3 Hyderabad inventory. So since this is a physical real, okay, inventory, you should specify the location. When you are creating the item master inventory, you don't need to give any location. The reality, you don't find item master inventory, which is a virtual. So this is a physical which you have in Hyderabad. So it's even the field is optional. As a mandatory, you have to specify. Say Hyderabad and save up to here. Now what we are trying to create, inventory organization. Okay, just so you can write as inventory or inventory organization, anything you can write. Just you may write detail level, anything you can write. Now this is the inventory organization. It can be master or actual, doesn't matter, it's inventory. So here organization classifications, we have to select as inventory organization. Select organization classification as inventory organization and enable that classification and save up to that. Okay, now go to others tab. First we have to provide accounting information. Here we'll be specifying this inventory is going to be under which operating unit and which legal entity as well as primary ledger. All the details will specify. After completing accounting information, we have to set up inventory information, and for sure we have to set receiving information for this inventory because this is a real inventory. You can ignore setting up receiving information for item master inventory, not mandatory, but you have to set up receiving information for actual inventories because always you'll receive the material into actual inventory only. For item master, just for item definition, you never receive the material. For that reason, you can ignore it. But in our classes, just I shown you how to set up for that, just for practice and your better understanding. I just taken that point. When you are practicing, please ignore setting up receiving information for item master inventory. You can set only inventory information for item master. Now we are doing the setups for Hyderabad inventory organization, which is a physical. You have to set first accounting information, next inventory information, finally you have to set up receiving information. We'll go and set one by one. Select accounting information, then say OK. Just place cursor in accounting information field. Okay, just place cursor. Now just select your primary ledger, ERP3. So system is defaulting the ledger which is associated with this primary ledger, and this inventory is going to be under which operating unit. Just type ERP3 since we have name with that which starts with ERP3, it is defaulting. So this inventory is going to be under ERP3 Hyderabad operating unit. Say OK and click on OK. Yes, we have to save it. So do you want to save the changes we have made? Yes. Done. So for actual inventory, we provided accounting information. We have to set up inventory information. Okay, sorry. Right. So inventory information, we created it, right? The actual inventory we created just now. Now we'll go and set up inventory information. Same process. How to set up? So go to others tab, select inventory information, then say OK. So already we specified, we given inventory information for our item master inventory. Whatever the information we given for item master inventory, that information you can copy to your actual inventory. For your actual inventory, inventory information you can copy. Okay, so here we are trying to set inventory information for our actual inventory. For item master inventory, already we provided this organization parameters, or you can call as inventory information. Already we discussed the naming convention system will display before opening with one naming convention, and after opening the other name it will be displaying. Okay, that's how they give it. So here what I'll do is I want to copy. If you just look into that calendar, it is not taking. And if I go just select costing information, here you don't see any material account. And if you go to this other accounts tab, here no accounts we have. But already all this information we given for item master inventory. From there I want to copy all these parameters into the respective fields. So for that what we have to do is, instead of going and entering once again, okay, so go to tools and select copy organization. Automatically it will copy here. From where you want to copy? From here, ERP tree item master inventory, right? So you select it. For ERP tree item master inventory, what are the organization parameters already we given in the previous class? That information you want to copy to this current inventory what you are creating, the actual inventory. So say okay, system will copy everything. See here, copied calendar, and here you can see the material account code combination and other accounts. If you want to set through manual process, you can do it, but this is option available to copy. After copying, if you want to change anything, you can change it. There is no issue with that. Okay, now we have to provide the unique code for this actual inventory. I'll give the name as, so here Pitri Hyderabad inventory, and we have only one item master organization. The same we have to select here. Click on this LOV here, ERP tree item master inventory. Select it. The rest of all the information system already copied from our master inventory. The same you can accept and save it. System will ask for the confirmation and it will give the note, say okay. Already we gone through that message and meaning we discussed when we are setting up the same inventory information for item master inventory. You may read it, say okay. Done. Okay, so we completed inventory information for actual inventory. Now we have to set up receiving information. It's a mandatory, compulsory you have to set, otherwise you cannot create receipts within this inventory. Okay, so go and set up receiving information. So how to set up? Just go to your inventory and just click on others. Here you can find the option called as receiving information. Select and say okay. Here we don't have any copy option. Okay, you don't have any copy option. You have to set through mandatory as a manual process only. So just fill with the zeros. Already we discussed when we set for master inventory. The same, just I'm filling with the zeros just to complete the setup. 0 and the number and all, everything we are going to accept. And one more point, just make a note, receipt routing. This you can make a note as, okay, please make a note this point, receipt routing methods. Basically we have three type of receipt routing methods: standard receipt routing method, direct delivery, and inspection required. Just make a note these three values. So we'll be discussing before we go and work on the relevant process. Just make a note of these 3 points. None is not required. Just none means no, nothing, no receipt routing method. Just you make a note like this. So we have a 3 type of receipt routing methods. Those are standard receipt. This first you can take the standard receipt, then direct delivery, and inspection required. Just make a note. You have to understand these very basic, how it works, the basic functionality we have to understand. Okay, standard receipt, one is standard receipt, the second one is direct delivery, inspection required. Just make a note. So we have three type of receipt routing methods. Those are standard receipt, direct delivery, and inspection required. Okay, please make a note. Okay, now out of these three here, just as a part of setup, I am going to select standard receipt. Okay, so I'm selecting receipt routing as standard receipt. You will understand once you start working on the process, and before that anyway I'll be explaining what is the meaning of these three different values, how the process works based on selection. So here provide receiving inventory account, click on search, select description, so receiving inventory account, click on go and select, say create and select and click on select. Now we'll provide clearing account, click on search and click on search for the account field and just select search by description. So account is inventory clearing account, click on go. Instead of selecting here and clicking on select directly, you can go with the quick select, it will get selected directly. Then click on create, select created code combination, which is a new code combination. We never created this code combination in the system, right? Select, that will get selected, that's all. And here you may go with the preference of receipt number generation. So in that case you may ask with your client saying that from where they want to start with the receipt numbering. But anyway, we won't be asking, that is not our job. So SM people will have interaction with the client, with their procurement or inventory departments, the material management departments, how they want to have a numbering for the receipts. Okay, done. So just remember, receiving options we are setting at inventory organization level. Inventory level we are setting. Okay, these points are very important. We are not setting receiving options at operating unit level. Just inventory level we are setting. That means this process related to inventory. Just save it. So your changes have been saved. Okay, done. You may close it and update the status as done. Now we'll go and create the sub inventory. Okay, now we'll go and create the sub inventory. When you talk about sub inventory, okay, here I think we have within this. So when you talk about sub inventory, see here this total area we are treating as a inventory organization. Within that, generally you can find the sub inventories. Okay, if as per business, if you see sub inventories for the client, how many sub inventories they have in the for particular inventory, you will be creating as it is in the system. If they have within one inventory 10 sub inventories, you can create 10 sub inventories within the inventory organization. But there may be case where client may not have sub inventories as a part of their inventory. In that case, as a mandatory, at least you have to create one sub inventory. When you are creating the receipt, it's a mandatory you have to specify you are receiving the material into which is sub inventory. As per our system solution, sub inventory is mandatory in the receiving process. At least for that reason, you have to create, even client doesn't have any sub inventory. So in that case, normally we'll create the dummy sub inventory. Remember this point. It's a system requirement, process requirement. Okay, fine. So we're done with this. Now we are going to create the sub inventory. How it is saved? 1 second. Fine. We are going to create the sub inventory. The client may not have sub inventories. We have to create at least one, but generally you find in all the business, most of the businesses, the warehouse will be partitioned into different sub inventories. So when you are going to create sub inventory, you will be always having sub inventory as a part of inventory. So in the application point of view also, you have to select actual inventory, in which inventory you want to create the sub inventory. Always will create sub inventory in actual inventory only, not in master inventory, because in the master inventory just item definition only. So we are not going to store any items within that. We are not going to maintain any stock within that. So always will create sub inventories in actual inventory only, not in item master inventory. Remember that. So now we can create the sub inventory from inventory responsibility. Okay, we can create the sub inventories from inventory responsibility. Just go to inventory responsibility, and you want to create the sub inventory where you want to create the sub inventory in the actual inventory. So select first actual inventory. So from inventory responsibility, here we have one function called as change organization. We have one function called as change organization. Just double click. Now system will ask, we want to enter into which inventory environment. Once you select any inventory, that means logically system will be understanding this responsibility related inventory related activities will be part of the selected inventory. If you are going to create sub inventory, automatically sub inventory will be created in selected inventory organization. Now I'm going to select ERP3 Hyderabad inventory organization. The reason I want to create sub inventories within this inventory only. So I'll select it. I'll say okay. Now we are in that environment only. You can see the proof also. Okay, we selected inventory. In which inventory we want to create sub inventories. Now to create the sub inventories, we may take the point as create sub inventory. Okay, take the task name as create sub inventory. Take the navigation. Navigation is setup. Okay, navigation is setup organizations. Setup organizations sub inventories. Navigation is setup organizations sub inventories. By taking this navigation, we can create the sub inventory within the inventory. So just before we take this navigation, already we selected our inventory with the change organization function, right? So that's how we are logically in the same inventory. Now once you take the navigation with this sub inventories function, it will take you into the same inventory. We'll see that. Double click. Now see here, this form is open within this inventory. We given just name as EHI, inventory code we given in the inventory information. So ERP3 Hyderabad inventory, that is our actual inventory. Within that we are going to create the sub inventory. So after opening this form, you can click on new. We are going to create new sub inventory. Click on new. Here we can give the sub inventory name. Just I want to give sub inventory name as, so sub inventory name is Apple sub inventory. So here we are going to store Apple products. So I given the name as Apple. Then go to accounts tab and provide all these mandatory accounts which are required for inventory related different processes. Okay, now here you don't need to understand all these accounts, not required. So these all are inventory stock related different processes which will be doing in this across the different application. The relevant accounting to capture the relevant values in terms of accounting, these all we have to specify. Since it's a mandatory, we are setting up so that these and all will support our financial flow, which are tightly connected with this inventory and purchasing. When we are working in real time, these all setups will be done by inventory consultant. But here, at least we are trying to understand how to do the setups. We may not get into the detailed meaning why we are doing and what exactly how it works and all, since this is not our job. At least try to understand how to complete this. When we are working on financial area, definitely we will be understanding, which really we have to understand to start working on the product. So select outside processing account. Since we given all codes as a default, system will take as is. Just provide outside processing account. Outside. Then click on, just give percentage. Then click on find. So here you can see Here outside processing, inventory outside processing value. This account we have to select 1450. Then say OK. The other account is material overhead. Click on LOV, and again here account field, click on LOV. Search for the same account, material overhead. Just give percentage, then click on find. So inventory material overhead value. Okay, inventory material overhead value, select, say OK, then click on OK. So now we have to provide overhead account. Click on LOV, click on LOV here and select overhead account. Just give percentage, then click on find. See here inventory overhead value account. Select and say OK. Then click on OK and select resource account. Click on LOV. Search for resource, then click on find. Here you can see inventory resource value account. Select and say OK. Click on OK. Done. So this is a very minimum information we have to provide when you are setting up sub inventory. The same way you can create n number of sub inventories here. Okay, within the same inventory you may have other sub inventory where you will be storing Dell products. In that case, just place cursor here, click on new, and you have to give the sub inventory name maybe Dell. So you can just provide the relevant accounts. I'm not giving the exact accounts, I'm copying and pasting the same. It's just for testing, there won't be an issue. Save it. So we created two sub inventories. But anyway, when you are creating, select the right accounts based on the label which you can see here. So this is all about sub inventory creation. Now you can see within this EHI means ERP tree Hyderabad inventory, we have two sub inventories. One is Apple, other one is Dell. That's all. Then you can close it. So sub inventory also ready. Now we have to create the items. So when you talk about item creation in the system, we have to understand certain points here. Say I'm going to create an item called as iPhone. So why I'm creating item? That all the information I have to specify in the system. Whether these items I'm going to store in my inventory. Okay. And the items I'm going to manufacture in our company. The items you are creating in the inventory to sell to the customers or to buy from the suppliers, and to buy and to store and to sell, or to buy and to store and to use in some assembling process in the different aspects. So complete purpose we have to specify for the specific item when we are creating the item in the system. Whatever the item you go and create, you have to give all the specifications. What is this item? Why it is required? Where it is required? We are going to buy, or we are going to sell, or we are going to manufacture, we are going to assemble. How that item is going to just move within that our organization process. Again, where this item is going to be connected with which departments in terms of applications. Each department will have a different application. So in which application the item should be available throughout the organization process, all the specifications we have to give. You may create an item called as iPhone. Okay, you may create item called as iPhone, and you may specify, so this item just will buy, and we are not going to sell these items. Okay, you may be buying this item to distribute to your employees. Okay, so that could be the reason why you may buy the iPhones, or else the reason could be you'll buy these iPhones, you'll maintain the stock in your inventory, and you'll be selling to your customers with some margin. That could be your business process. Or else you may buy some accessories kind of stuff related to so and so item, and you may assemble and you may sell to the customer. So in that case, accordingly you have to specify the item related information. So how you are going to use the item, in which process we are going to use, in which application the item should be available, all you can set up in the system with the concept called as attributes. Okay, we can set by using the concept called as attributes. So I'm creating iPhone. I have to specify in the system as this item will be purchasing. So that I'll be setting in the system saying that there will be an attribute called as purchasing. I'll go and specify this is going to be purchased item. And the same item will be selling to the customer. I have to set the attribute saying that we are going to sell to the customer, as where customer can place the order against this item. That's how we have to set the attribute. So for each and every item we have to set relevant attributes. Those attributes only we call as item attributes. So when we are creating the item in the system, as a mandatory we have to set the item attributes. Based on the attribute specification only, system will start behaving the process of item related transactions or item management process. Okay, just these are the simple points we have to understand. For each item we have to set item attributes. Item attributes nothing but item characteristics. Okay, so how the item has to be managed within the organization, which process, which application, all you can set it up. Say for example I am taking an item called as iPhone. Take this iPhone is not raw material, right? We can classify the items raw material, finished goods, and the different classifications we can have. Say if you take example of iPhone, definitely it's a finished good. Okay, so finished good. So I'm creating iPhone. Why I'm creating iPhone? I'll be purchasing, I'll be storing in the inventory, I'll be selling to the customer. To support these three processes or three activities, buying, storing and selling, there may be need of setting, for example, 20 attributes. The 20 attributes may be mandatory to set up to support these three activities of the process within the system. Say I'll go and set those 20 attributes for the iPhone, which is a finished good. Set again I am going to create one more item called as Samsung. For Samsung phone also definitely, if iPhone we are treating as finished good, definitely that is also finished good only, right? It's a phone which is ready to use, so definitely finished good. So for Samsung phone also have to go and set Samsung also I'm going to have for the purpose of buying, storing and selling to the customer. In that case, what are the 20 attributes I am setting for iPhone, almost same attributes I have to set for Samsung also, because in nature the two products are same. Okay, of course brands are different and the price etc totally will be different. There are some common attributes which you have to set. In the same way, if you are going to create one more item, one more different product of phone, that is also definitely falls into finished good. In that case, again you have to set those 20 or more than 20 attributes, how you are going to manage this item. That means if I'm going to create the multiple items which falls into finished good category classification, for each item I have to set 20 or 20 plus attributes as per the business requirement, how client is going to manage. So it will be big task. For each item you have to go and set it up. So instead of doing that, what I can do is I can create one template called as finished good template. Within the template I can go and set those 20 attributes. The 20 attributes may be one attribute, this is a purchased item. The second attribute can be this can be stored in the inventory, and third attribute can be this can be used in the inventory process of transactions. The fourth attribute can be we can sell to the customers. The fifth attribute can be this will be available in so and so BOM or VIP applications. This is how we'll go and set the attributes. So instead of going and setting these 20 attributes one by one for each and every item, what I'm trying to do is I'll create, based on the classification of item, I'll create the relevant template, finished good template. There within that I'll set 20 attributes. Whenever I create finished good, just this template I will apply on that item, automatically 20 will be copied. If you want to change something, you can change it. But generally, commonly which are used for finished good, those system will default automatically. That is the technique we can use in the system instead of going and setting attributes for each and every item, to set the behavior of the item within the system environment where that can be available in the relevant processes. So tomorrow if you are trying to create the purchase order, So you may have item in your inventory, but it may not be available when you are trying to create the purchase order. The reason is, if you don't set the attributes which allows that item to be available in the process called as purchasing, it won't come. So you have to go and make sure that you are marking that item is purchased item. Then only that will be available in the process of purchasing. That's how with the item attributes you can control this, how item can be used within the process or different applications. Okay. So these are the simple points you have to understand. Anyway, this creation of items and template creation also will be done by SCM consultants only. The SCM consultant will be just working on inventory, they will take care of. But here, let's try to understand in very basic level. So now what we'll do is we'll go and create the item, and we'll assign, or say we'll apply one template to our item. So within the template, what are the attributes already predefined, those will get copied. But when you are working, we don't need to worry about all those things. This all will be done by SCM consultant. This is not at all our job. But since we are learning now, we cannot appoint somebody to do all these setups from HRMS side, one consultant, and inventory side. So that is the reason we are trying to understand. Really, if you know this all the details, it sounds really good. When somebody look at your profile and all, when you're working in a real-time project also, you'll be able to manage these kind of basic things. If there is some situation where you have to manage all these setups to finally to go ahead and to work on your financials. So that's the reason I included everything in the course content, which are very basically it's required. Normally, if somebody is working in the company with the 3 years or 4 years or 5 years of experience, those people will be knowing this kind of stuff. The same I am trying to share with you. Okay, by giving this information for you, may not become 4 or 5 years of experienced guy by just attending the training, but more or less you will be having the equivalent knowledge with the guys who has 3 to 4 or 5 years of experience in the market. So these are the simple points we have to understand. Now we'll go ahead and we'll create the item. First we'll create the item. Okay, after creating the item, we'll assign the item template. A template will copy all the attributes from the template to the item. So that's how the item definition can be completed. Okay, we'll go to the item creation form. So you can take the task name as create item, or you can call as create master item, or you can call as item master, anything like you can call as just create item, or say create master item, or you can say create item master. Any naming convention you can use. Okay, fine. Just take the point as create items. So the items we can create from inventory application, or say inventory responsibility, because against inventory application we have a responsibility called as inventory responsibility. Always we can access any application from responsibility only. Fine. So to create the items, go to inventory responsibility and take the navigation. I'm not going to create the item now, just I'll show you. I'll just open the form, I'll show you how you can create, but not detail level, and then I'll take you to the other point. Then we'll come back and we'll be creating the item. Now you may not take the points from here, no need to take this navigation and item creation process. I'll repeat it. Okay, after showing just I'll give you the overview, then we'll go back to some other task and we'll complete, we'll look into that, then we'll come back and we'll do it. Don't take this point whatever I'm going to show now. So to create the items, navigation is items, master items. Why we are calling as master item? We'll create only one item that can be assigned to multiple actual inventories. Already we discussed, right? As a part of setups we discussed. We'll create item wherever the item is required. We'll be assigning to actual inventories. In how many actual inventories same item is required, we'll be assigning. Basically, the item always will create in the item master inventory only. Already we discussed. That is the purpose of item master inventory. Otherwise, we don't require, which is a virtual. Fine. So navigation is items, master items. So it is navigating us to item master related inventory only. See here, ERP tree, item master inventory. This is what we created. Now here you can go ahead and you can give the item name. Some phone I am writing. The same way I'll write the description as a phone. Which phone and all anyway will be writing when you are really creating the item. Just I'm giving it as a phone. So I give in the phone. So when I'm entering the phone, here we have a field called as item. Just here only just I enter the phone. The reason is, however, we have a accounting key flex field to create the chart of accounts where we can manage our structure related segments. The same way for item also there is one key flex field. There is one key flex field. Within that key flex field structure, we have only one segment. That is the reason here when you place the cursor in the item field, it is not asking to enter a number of segment values. Within that, we have only one segment. The one segment name we are entering here dynamically. If you remember, when you create, so when we create a right, so let me take through that. So when we are trying to create this job or position, if you take example job description, click on new. When you place the cursor in the name field, what system is doing? It is opening job flex field and it is asking to enter job code and job name. The reason is, for job creation we have job flex field, say job key flex field, actual name is job key flex field. The display they never give as a key, job flex field. Within that we have two segments. Okay, the two segments are dynamic values because the validation type was selected as a none. That's the reason you can enter anything you can create. Already we created job, right? I'm canceling. The same way when you are creating the item, for item creation also we have key flex field. Within that structure also have created, but within that we have only one segment. If you have more than one segment, okay, so where we are trying to create item, always we can create item in the master only. You can select master and you can just go ahead. So here when I place the cursor in the item field, if we have more than one segment in the item flex field, it will prompt the window. There you have to enter the relevant values for each and every segment, but within that we have only one segment. That is the reason it is not prompting anything. Directly you can enter the value. I'll just show you how that looks like. So we'll go to the key flex fields. So from here also you can take the navigation. So or else you know very well how to navigate to the structure definition form. From in GL you can do. So the navigation is set of financial flex field key segments, right? That is navigation you can use from the GL, or else from inventory also you can navigate to the same form. Setup. Here directly there's nothing like financials, right? There in GL set of financials flex fields, but here setup directly financial flex fields. You don't have to go to these financials and again expand all those things. Directly go to set of flex fields and key, and here you can select segments. Here we want to see which key flex field we have for item. So it's inventory related. When you say item, that is related to inventory. So click on find and search for inventory. Just type inventory I. So within this inventory application we have many key flex fields. Out of that we are talking about item. So item related key flex field name is system items flex field. That is nothing but system items key flex field. So select it. So by using the accounting key flex field, how many segments we can create? How many segments we can create by using accounting key flex field? Anyone? Anyone please?
Maximum 30 we can create.
Maximum 30. Any other answers?
Maximum 30, minimum 2.
Again I am repeating my question. By using accounting key flex field, how many structures we can create? Now you can go ahead with your answer. I'm sorry, I don't know how you are understanding my question, but still my question is clear. By using accounting key flex field, how many structures you can create? You can create n number of structures. Please note the point, I didn't ask how many segments you can create within the structure. Okay, I'm asking how many structures you can create. This is accounting flex field. Within that, how many structures you can create? N number of. See here, many are there. Out of that, one we created. That's what I'm asking. I didn't ask the question how many
any number we can create.
So I didn't ask the question how many segments we can create. Okay, fine. Anyway, done. So by using the accounting key flex field, you can create n number of structures. But when you talk about system item key flex field, you can create only one structure. you can create for one instance. You can create only one structure. Already that is created here. If you open and see, you have only one segment. Since you have one segment, when you are trying to create item, when you place the cursor in the item field, it is not prompting any just fields to enter as those segments, because only one we have. Directly you can enter value for the same segment. Okay, that's what you have to understand. Sometimes when you are working, if you see the case where when you place the cursor in the item field, it may pop up other window, it may ask for 2 to 3 fields. In that case, only the point you have to understand, in item system item key structure, they have more than one segment. That's what you have to understand. But in the current case, only one. That depending on client, they will be having the segments, how many they need when they are defining the item, how they want to classify, the very granular level or in other levels. So they'll be deciding, and they'll be that solution will be finalized by inventory consultant by having required interactions with the client by taking the detailed requirement. So this is a simple point to understand. If you are okay with this information, what I'm trying to give you, that's fine, or else just ignore it. You don't need to worry about if you are not getting it. Okay, there is no other possibility where I can go ahead and explain in other way, but just these are the simple points to understand, but it's not that much mandatory for us. But if you know, that's really good. That's the reason just I'm trying to include these points. So now you can take the point as create item. Okay, please make a note from here. So task name is create item. Take the navigation, items, master items. Okay, items, master items. Double click. So where we are trying to create item, we are trying to create item in the item master inventory. Always we can create item in the item master. See, I didn't select any item master, system is selecting here. Or else let me switch to other responsibility. If you switch to other responsibility, and if you come back to the inventory, the moment you try to create item, it will be asking in which inventory you want to create. See here, what I'll do is I'll go to other responsibilities here. For example, payables. I'll just come back to inventory. Now if I try to create item, definitely system will be asking in which inventory we want to create item. See, items, master items. Now system is asking we want to create item in which inventory. In which inventory we can create item? R12 Hyderabad inventory organization or which inventory?
In master.
Item master inventory.
Only item master inventory. Okay, only we can create in master inventory. But if you try to create in actual inventory, finally it will route to master only. See here, I may try to select ERP3 Hyderabad inventory organization. I'll say okay. Finally system will select item master only. See, system selected here as a ERP3 item master inventory. That means item can be defined only within the item master inventory. This is what we have to understand. Now we'll give the item name. Say when we place the cursor in this item field, it is not prompting any additional fields. That means just now we gone through that structure of system item key flex field. We have only one structure. Within the structure we have only one segment called as item. That is the reason it is not asking to enter multiple values when you place the cursor. Within that structure, if you have more than one segment, the moment you place the cursor here, it will be giving one pop-up window. There you can enter the relevant segment values. Since we have one segment, directly you can enter the dynamic value into the same field. So here I'll create item called as iPhone. Okay, I may write the description as Apple phone. Okay, done. I just given this. Now my requirement is this iPhone in my business process. Okay, I want to buy as per my business. Say we used to buy these iPhones and we store in the inventory, and finally we'll add some margin and we'll be selling to our customers. So for this item we have to set all those relevant attributes so that that item can be that item will be available accordingly wherever you require throughout this sales, storage, storing, inventory management as well as sales process. So if you look at here, we have multiple tabs here. Inventory tab, bills of material, this is a separate module, asset management, costing, purchasing, receiving, physical attributes. There are many other tabs we can see here. Order management, invoicing, okay, process, manufacturing, services, web options. We have a different tabs. So these tabs will represent specific business process or particular application. If I go to this inventory tab, that means how you are going to manage this inventory information, this item information within the inventory. Those all you can set up here. These are the different again features related to item. And bills of material is separate application. Say you have a case where you buy some spare parts. The spare part you may create as item here. So when you have a spare parts, if you are going to do the assembling process and all, definitely that item, the spare part should be available in BOM. BOM means bill of material. So in that case, if this item should be available in BOM, you have to enable this checkbox. BOM allowed. BOM allowed means this item will be available in application called as BOM, bill of material application. That's how you can give the permissions from here. These only you call as attributes. This checkbox we call as attribute. This checkbox, these also you can call as attributes only. Here you can see as a drop down options. These all are attributes. But the checkboxes you see all these you call as attributes. Attributes will enable the controls. Okay. Now if you are going to store this item in the inventory, how to specify? As this is inventory item, then only you can find this inventory, this item in the particular inventory, your actual inventory. Against that item you can maintain the quantity. And if you want to buy this item as per your business process, so you go to the tab called as purchasing tab and enable as purchased. Then only this item will be available when we are raising the purchase order and relevant processes wherever the item is available to procure. And the same way, go to order management here. If you have a plan of selling this item to your customer, it's a mandatory you have to enable customer order. The item you have to select, then only this item will be available in your order management or receivables process, which are involved in the sales process, O2C. So this is how all these attributes you can set up on any item. So instead of going and setting each and every attribute, what generally inventory guys will do is they'll create the templates. In the templates they'll go and set some required information. If the item is going to be purchased item, okay, which attributes required, finished good, which attributes they require as per the organization process they'll be setting up. Simply we can go and copy the template to our item, so automatically all the required attributes will get enabled. I'm just going to disable what we enabled. Just for testing I shown that. So now I didn't enable anything. Whatever I enabled for testing I removed. See here, inventory I removed, purchasing I removed, nothing I enabled. Okay, now we created item, just save it. We created item. Now we didn't set any specifications in which application this item should be available, in which process this item should be available. To set that attributes, what we can do is we can go and copy the template to this item. Let's see how to copy the template, how to copy the attributes, okay, from template to item. We'll see how to copy the attributes from template to item. It's a very simple process. After just you have to give the name, item name, as well as write description. That's enough. Then save it. After saving, select item, okay, select item, then go to tools, select item, then go to tools, select copy from, select copy from. Now system is asking we want to copy the attributes from which template to this item. Say I want to copy attributes. There are multiple templates in this, because this is a vision instance. You can see multiple. Even in the fresh environment, in the fresh instance also there will be few by default templates. But as per the business requirement, remember SCM consultant will be working on inventory. They'll create all required templates which they require for item definition type. So many templates we have. But for our testing, what we'll do is you can go with purchasing template, purchased item template, or you can go with something finished good template. Any template you can use. Okay, we don't need to go very in detail when you talk about this template. So not required. Just try to understand how to copy the template, how to copy the attributes from template to item. The process is very simple. So what we are trying to do, create item and save it. Okay, go to tools. Here we have an option called as copy from, select template at purchased item, then just click on apply and click on done. Now go to inventory tab. You can see those checkboxes are enabled, because these checkboxes are enabled because the template level these attributes are specified as these are required to enable. The same way, go to purchasing, these tabs also, the checkbox also enabled. Go to order management, so this also enabled. That means within this purchased item template we have the attributes which enable this item to purchase and to store and to sell. Not only this, for many other process also we have attributes within the template. This is what we have to understand. Then save it. After copying the attributes from template to item, save it. Done. So what is the next step we have to do? Where we have item now? Anyone? Simple. My question is always simple. Okay, where we have item now?
Item master inventory.
Item master inventory. Where we require item?
We created an EIH.
Okay, where we require item?
Actual inventory.
Actual inventory. Fine, done. Okay, we created item in item master, but reality we require those items in the actual inventories, because as per our system there is no option where directly you can go and create items in the actual inventory. If you start creating, that will become duplication. If the same item required in the multiple inventories, every time you have to go and create, I mean in every inventory you have to go and create the same item. To avoid that duplication, Oracle came up with a solution called as, so kind of item master inventory definition. Within that you can create item one time that can be assigned to multiple inventories as per requirement. That is a logic we are implementing, okay, as a just like a virtual inventory concept. So the next step is this item, whatever we create in the item master inventory, that we have to assign to actual inventory. You may have one or multiple actual inventories. Okay, you have to assign wherever that is required. Let's see how to assign item to actual inventory. Okay. So this is our item, iPhone. So if you want to assign this item to any actual inventory, what you can do is select item, just place the cursor in the item field, go to tools, and here we have option called as organization assignment. Okay, go to tools and select organization assignment. If not this navigation, you can go in this way also. Here sorry, here also we have a shortcut. The item level itself we have an icon which will allow us to assign the item to organization. Okay, directly you can click on this icon or you can go with this navigation. Anything you can follow. Okay, I'll go with this navigation. After creating item, place cursor in the item name field, then go to tools, click on organization assignment. Once you click on this, you can see how many inventory organizations we have. That's all you can see. Okay, there was another inventory which was created for a testing purpose. Okay, that ignore it. These two we created, right? So where we have item, see here item is iPhone, the description is Apple phone, and by default system is showing this item is already assigned to item master inventory. Why it is showing? Because the item is created within the item master inventory only. Now we have to assign this item, okay, this item to our actual inventory. Our actual inventory name is ERP3 Hyderabad inventory. So what we have to do is, it's very simple, go and assign this item to this actual inventory. assign and save. From now, this item called iPhone will be available in ERP tree Hyderabad inventory organization. So this is how you can assign. If you want to assign this item to other inventory also, here we have other inventory called as test inventory. So you may assign to that inventory also. That's how you can assign one item to multiple inventory organizations, and the stock and all the quantity you can manage within the respective inventory only. Just we are sharing the item definition, nothing else. With controls we are sharing the item definition across the multiple inventory organizations through assignment action. Just save it, done, and you can close it. Fine, done. So finally what we have to do is we have to open the inventory periods. So when you are working on inventory as per the business requirement, as per client requirement, you have to set up many other configurations also. But now it's not required for us. We are not going to implement complete inventory. We are trying to set up very basic setups, okay, which will allow the system to start functioning. Okay, so once you do these basic setups, then you can start using inventory also. Why we have to use inventory? When we are testing P2P cycle, we have to raise the requisitions, and when you are raising the requisition, you may specify the item, or else at least when you are raising the POs, you will be specifying the item. You will be raising the PO against the items, and you will be receiving the material that you have to store in the particular inventory within that sub inventory. So we have to do all these activities. That is the reason we are trying to complete all these setups, which are very basic. Okay, so now we'll go and open the inventory periods so that inventory all setups will be ready. So once we start working on the process, we'll be able to test inventory related process flow, which is involved as a part of P2P cycle. Okay, we'll go and open the inventory periods. Take the task name as open inventory periods. Okay, task name is open inventory periods. Go to inventory responsibility. Take the navigation. To open the inventory periods, navigation is accounting close cycle, inventory accounting periods. Okay, accounting close cycle, inventory accounting periods. By taking this navigation, we can open the inventory periods. By taking this navigation, we can open the inventory periods. So navigation is accounting close cycle, inventory accounting periods. Please make a note each and every point what we are discussing and what we are trying to do in the system. So very important, so that you can use for your reference to read and remember. Other side which is important task is, while you are practicing, definitely have to depend on what notes you are taking now. Okay, if you have a confidence of you have video, are going to get the videos and all, reality those are not going to help you when you are practicing or when you are trying to recall something. Okay, so accounting close cycle and inventory accounting periods. So here see system is, so so which period we have to open? We have to open the March period. So just you can go and say change status, cannot open previous cost periods, not at open, previous cost open, not open. Okay, why this? Basically system what it will do is it will default to this. I think we didn't open GL periods, I guess. We'll just go and open the GL periods. Okay, the problem is in this instance the October period is selected as a current period. I just forgot to inform to DBA to change it. As per server, the current period is October. So otherwise system should select March month. That is the issue we have now. So anyway, at least I'll just ask the DBA to change it before you start with your practice. I just forgot earlier also we got this issue. But anyway, simple process. What we'll do is, anyway, this we'll open this period maybe in the tomorrow session, but I'll show you the process. Simple. Once you navigate to this form, what system will do is by default it will be selecting the current period. Current period is March 2017. So now here you can see in this environment October 2016 is selected because server period got selected as the server system. Whatever server we have within that, the period which got selected is October 2016. That is the reason it is not selecting current period. So by default what it will do is it will be selecting the current period only. So the simple process, you have to click on change status. Once you click on change status, it will ask for the confirmation. If you say okay, automatically it will change the current period status to open. So that's how it works. But no issues anyway. We are not going to enter the event related transactions today itself. We'll do it. Okay. So I'll just ask the DBA to change the server, the period dates, etc., which are set to wrong in that server environment. Okay. So normally it has to select this March should be here. The rest April, June, July, August, September will display like this, and just you have to click on change status, and it will be asking. So this is a just in this case. Let's go and open all these till March. I'll open this. October I open. I'll open November. But generally you don't need to do like this. The only current period system will be selecting. By default it will select. I'll open the December. I'll open John. Okay, by the time you start with the practice, it will be just the issue will be fixed, so you don't need to do all this task. Now final I'll go and open March, which is the current period. Okay, done. So anyway, we opened current period March 2017. That's all. Close it. So this is how you have to open the inventory periods. Done. So these are the basic setups we have to complete for inventory application. So done. Any questions on this, please? Any questions?
Yes, Lakshman. Yeah. So basically, when you are assigning the item to the inventory organization, suppose some requirement comes that the item is no longer needed in that particular inventory organization. So what do we do? How do we remove the item from that inventory?
So normal practice would see after any question, please mute from your end anyone. That's my request all the time. So generally, if that is the case, in that inventory you don't require means you can go and just unassign that item. You can remove that assignment so that that item won't be available. Anyway, whatever the stock you have within that the quantity and all will be just available. So if it is exist, normally we can unassign from the assignment so that that item won't be available. If somebody is working for that inventory, if they look into the items, whatever the items are available, it won't be get displayed in that list. That's how you can disable, or else you don't need that item throughout the organization. You can go and inactivate that item within the system. That's how it works. But we no need to focus on these points because we are not going to work on inventory. Okay, fine. Any other questions? Just whatever I discussed, based on that you may ask the questions. Beyond that we don't require. That's the reason I am not taking through unnecessarily. Okay, so any questions on this, please? Okay, so hope it is clear what we did. Okay, so fine, we'll proceed with the next other application configuration. So we completed required setups for HRMS as well as inventory. Now we'll see what setups we have to do for purchasing application. We'll see what setups we have to do for purchasing. So just we'll complete purchasing setups. After completing purchasing setups, okay, theoretically we'll try to understand the entire accounts payable application. After understanding theoretically, then we'll do the setups. Then we'll start working on P2P cycle. Okay, fine. So when you talk about purchasing basic setups, what we have to do is uh, first, who are going to work on purchasing application, you have to create that employee as a buyer. Sorry, any questions? Okay, no questions. So who are going to work on purchasing application, we have to create that employee as a buyer. Say create employee as buyer and say assign buyer to user. And if you remember, we discussed about options. So we have a different options for different applications. So that's what we discussed. These are the different options. So for inventory options. So for inventory, we have inventory information. For inventory and purchasing, we have receiving options or receiving information you can call. From purchasing, for PO, we have purchasing options. For PO, AP, FA, we have financial options. For AP, we have a payable options. Okay. Here, based on that, you tell me how many options are related to purchasing application as per this information.
Receiving and purchasing.
Okay. Any right answer?
Financials and buyer. Two options.
Yeah, two options.
I don't know how you are answering. Clearly, you can mute from your side. I clearly mentioned, okay, for inventory and PO,
Only one option.
receiving, and for PO, purchasing, for PO,
Only one option, that is PO.
financials. Three options required for purchasing. That is the point. What my question is, which options are required for purchasing? Three options. So here just I mentioned already. Receiving options are related to purchasing PO, purchasing options for PO, and financial options also for PO. Along with that, for other applications also we have. That means out of all these options, three options are related to purchasing. Those are receiving options, purchasing options, and the financial options. So already we completed this setup, receiving options from inventory side only. Whatever you complete from inventory, the same will be shared across PO also, purchasing. Again, you don't need to set up from purchasing, but whatever setup you did from inventory, the same you can see from PO. PO means purchasing. Now only two options we have to set up which will support purchasing application. Those are purchasing options as well as financial options. Okay, so this is the point we have to understand. So what we'll do is, first we have to create employee as a buyer, then assign buyer to user. After that, first you set up financial options. I'll say configure financials options, and then set up purchasing options, or you can say configure anything. So we can say set up or configure. Say configure purchasing options. After completing this, we have to set up approvals. When we are creating the requisitions and purchase orders, we require approvals. We'll try to understand how the approvals, what are the different type of approvals we have, what are the basic setups we have to do for approving the requisitions or purchase orders. We'll understand. Okay, we have to set up the approvals. When you talk about setups, there will be some detailed setups. At that time we'll discuss. For now, let me just give you this presentation of basic setups. So after completing that approvals, okay, we'll set the approvals for requisitions and purchase orders. Once we're done with that, we can open purchasing periods. That's all. These are the basic setups we have to complete for purchasing application. Okay, we'll do one by one. So first we'll go and create our employee as a buyer. We have only one employee, we'll just classify, okay, or else say in other words, we'll go and select our employee into buyers list. That only we call as create employee as a buyer. Okay, so it doesn't matter that employee has which role, okay, which job you created as a, I think, a buyer job. That job is totally related to HRMS. But when you talk about purchasing, it's a mandatory as per system. Okay, we have to specify which employee is going to work as a buyer, part of purchasing department, or say in terms of system purchasing application. If you don't classify specific employee as a buyer, that employee cannot work on the process called as purchase orders. That employee cannot create the purchase orders. For that reason, we have to create employee as a buyer. Then only purchasing application will allow that employee to work on the purchasing application to create the purchase orders. For that reason, we are going to create our employee as a buyer. It's just we are going to classify. We are going to select that employee into buyers list. Nothing else apart from that we are trying to do. Simple process, we'll see anyway. So you can take the point as create employee as a buyer. Task name is create employee as a buyer. So these all setups, since these are related to purchasing, we have to do from purchasing responsibility only by using purchasing application. So switch to purchasing. Here we have a switch responsibility icon, right? Just click on this. Select purchasing super user responsibility and say OK. Now what is the task we want to perform? We want to create the buyer, right? We want to create buyer. Simple. Whom we create as buyer? Employee only will create as a buyer. So to create the buyer, take the navigation. Setup, personal, buyers. Please take all these navigations and each and everything what we are doing in the system and what we are discussing. Okay, to create the buyer, navigation is setup, personal, buyers. Double click. It's a web page. System will open. Okay. So here we have a create icon, add buyer. Click on this. Okay, since this is a vision instance, so all existing buyers you can see here. Okay, all existing buyers you can see from here. If you want to restrict, we have separate profile option also, we can set it up. Okay, so here you select your employee as a buyer. This is a buyer list, you can say all existing buyers in this environment. So just select your employee in this field and save it. Then you can treat as you converted employee as a buyer. That's all. So we created buyer with what name I don't remember, something Ramesh or something we created, I guess. Let's search with the same name. I'll give
The name is Ramesh.
Okay, fine, thank you. So instead of entering Mr. and all the stuff, just if there could be some long name, so instead of that, just I want to search with the short name. In that case, you can give before and after percentage, then say Ramesh and just tab out, it will fetch. Or else you can click on search. From there you can look into that names. That's how you can find. So we created Mr. Ramesh, where the Ramesh is belongs to ERPT India Business Group. Here you can see employee number is 1. So you can go with a quick select option. Okay, our employee is selected as a buyer in the buyer list. Now what we have to do is just click on save. That's all. The other option is if this employee is going to work on the purchasing application, so whatever the user we created for that buyer, to that user you have to assign this employee. So assign buyer to user. From where we can do? we can do from system administrator, right? Go to system administrator responsibility, simply call as sysadmin. Okay, sysadmin means system administrator responsibility only. Generally we call it as just sysadmin. We don't use all the time system administrator. Okay, go to sysadmin responsibility, say okay, and go to the user definition form. You know the navigation, right? So security user define, and click on find. Our username is erp3. If you remember, already we assigned that employee to this user. Okay, we created a employee and we assigned to the user as a part of HRMS setups only. But now the same employee is classified as a buyer also. Again, you don't need to assign as information I'm telling. Just click on find, you can see the same. If it is not assigned, you can assign. Here already the same employee only we classified as a buyer now. Now you can, this employee will be acting as a buyer when this employee is going to work on purchasing application. But we have to make sure that which buyer will be working on the purchasing application, that employee need to be assigned to the respective user. Anyway, that is already done. Close it. So we're done with these two setups.
Lakshman, I have a small question. Sorry to interrupt.
Please go ahead.
So in the previous step, you selected Ramesh and you assigned as a buyer. So in the real time or in the organization, do we need any separate security? Is there like some approval process is enabled for doing that activity, or it is not? There is no such activity.
Okay. So there is no such kind of security. So within your business scope, how many employees you have, all the employees you can see from that list, and who are going to act as a buyer, who is working on the purchasing process, who are part of your purchasing department, only those people will go and select as a buyer. If you are going to select someone unnecessarily, until unless you are not going to give access to purchasing, they cannot do anything as a buyer. That is another point. But hope somebody will be doing who knows everything, who will have a certain privileges to convert someone as a buyer as a part of application. Okay, we are not going to give this access to everyone, right? Who will be having right authorities? Those people will be doing whom they want to make as a buyers within their organization as a part of purchasing department. As a consultant, we can have access when we are working in real time. So the purchasing application, entire purchasing responsibility access given to the purchasing department manager only. Don't think like all the users will have access. Users will have access to just to create the requisitions or purchase orders, receipt creation. For relevant transaction related functions only, they will be having access. That you will see once you get into that. You can understand those points also. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what we are doing now, all related to configuration. Generally, these configuration can be done by consultants. It's a one-time task again. Maybe few things on regular basis also you can do. If you are somebody joined today in your company and they are going to work as a part of purchasing department, in that case you may classify them as a buyer. But otherwise, so most of the setups what we are doing, those are one time. These all are part of implementation, one-time activity. So anyway, we'll come to know where a few kind of setups you can perform again and again. What is the reason and all that also will be understanding. Okay, done. Now next setup is we have to set up financials options. Okay, we have to set up financial options. So with the financial options, what we can do, we can control purchasing, payables, and FA related relevant functionalities. That's what we discussed. That means these financial options are shared across these three applications. The financial options are shared across these three applications. Primarily the purchasing application, financial options will have a control more on AP and I can say purchasing. Not much on FA, but the connectivity they given. Okay, so just this is a simple point we have to understand. Now we'll go and just go and configure the financial options. So take the task as configure financials options. Task name is configure financials options. So go to purchasing application. Since we are doing this all setups related to purchasing, so all these setups almost you can do from purchasing only. Go to purchasing responsibility, click on switch responsibility icon, select purchasing super user responsibility, then say OK. Okay, so take the navigation to set up or configure financial options. Okay, take the navigation. Navigation is from purchasing. Navigation is setup, organizations, financial options. Please make a note of all these points. Okay, task name is configure financials options or financial options. Okay, task name is configure financial options. Navigation is setup, organizations, financial options. So anyone please answer to my question. Anytime throughout our session we just gone through these financial options. Anytime have you seen these financial options? Anytime the financial options window, the form, anytime in our classes?
We went, yeah, we went one time, just after doing that business group setup. We went to AP and we verified in the human resource tab whether the business group is there or not. That is through AP module.
Great. So that's enough. If you are able to answer, you are on right track, you are preparing. That's great. Fine. Who are not answering, just that's it. Of course you might be knowing, but you may not be answering now. But if you are able to recollect these points, that's enough. When you're doing this course, definitely you will see the benefit. You may have plan of just doing all this practice later point of time, but that may not help you in all the ways. So that is answered. Like after completing the multi-hour configuration, we gone to these financial options to verify our business group is populating, okay, within these financial options under human resource tab. Under human resource tab, if you see our business group, then you can say our multi-hour configuration went fine. If you see different business group, definitely. So again, just it's a completely everything went wrong. That's what you have to understand. Okay, but when you are working in real time, so definitely there won't be a number of business groups. Okay, because this is test instance. So that's the check we have to do. Even when you are working real time also, you may have more than one business groups. So make sure that after completing the setups, go and verify, then you can proceed with the rest of setups. So fine. Same like from payables we take in the navigation. Since these financial options are shared across these three applications as we discussed just now, you can navigate from any application. Okay, from AP we take in the navigation at the time. Now we are taking the navigation from PO. You may take the navigation to this financial option from FA also possible. Okay, so that this is the point we have to understand. So navigation is setup, organizations, financial options. So here so we have a different tabs: accounting, supplier purchasing, encumbrance, tax, human resources. So what are the mandatory fields we'll fill, and when you are working on the relevant concept, even those are optional, we'll come back to these financial options and we'll work on the relevant futures. Okay, for now just you can go ahead with the mandatory fields. So accounting, we have a first tab called as accounting. Under accounting tab we have a field called as future periods. The future periods means it's very simple. Say for example, we are in March month. So we'll open this period. So this period we'll call as current period. The next period is future period. So if I say future periods are 1, here if I say future periods are 1, then what system will do is, if your current period is March, then it will treat, because see it's a It's a March, then April, then May, right? All are future periods only. But here, if you specify future periods as 1, then what system will do is, even if you are in the March, it will allow you to enter the transactions in April period. Since you are selecting 1, only you can enter in the April. You cannot enter the transaction in the May. That's how you can have a control in the system. But you can enter and to update the balances in the system only for current period. Even the period is, you may have April as a future period, but you can enter the transaction. You cannot update the balances by posting the transaction related information. Just entry you can do, but you cannot update the balance in the system. So that's how this future periods option will be useful. So if you have a requirement where when you are working in the current period, there may be need of entering the transaction in the next period. But until unless you will go and open April period, you cannot post those transactions. Posting means updating the balances. So that is a point you have to understand. But when you create the ledger, when you create our ledger, automatically system will take future enterable periods are 1. So when you open the ledger, you may just go through it. Next time when you open the ledger, I'll show you that. But for payables application, okay, so this future and future periods will be applicable for this financial options for different applications, primarily purchasing, payables, and FA. But these setups which we are doing, those will be applicable only for purchasing and AP. This future periods concept is not applicable for FA. Okay, but no need to get confused with this. We will be understanding in the process. Just for now, just give you as a future periods as 1. That means if you are entering the transaction in the current period, the next period also system will allow us to enter the transaction. You may not get an option of posting them, updating the balances. Here provide liability account. It's very simple. When we are creating the transaction, take example as payables, because these financial options for payables also, the account liability account related to payables only. When you create the purchase invoice, okay, when you create the purchase invoice, so say when you are creating purchase invoice with the expense, in that case the expense account is debit, and if you are going to pay that bit later, definitely you have to take the liability account as a credit. So when you create invoice, in every invoice, okay, you have to capture the liability account to track how much you have to pay to your suppliers. In that case, you can use the liability account. That account you have to provide. Whatever the liability account you are providing here, that can be used in the invoice creation process. We'll see that detail level. I'll show you where and where we can give this liability account, from where it will be taken, how it will create accounting entry. We'll open and see all these things we'll be doing when we start working on the transaction. So what are the setups we are doing now in this stage? For all the setups will get a detailed meaning once you start working on the transaction process, because we are doing these setups to support the transaction process. If I want to create invoice, and if I want to process the payments in the payables, I cannot go ahead. I cannot go and do directly in the payables. I have to do the required setups. Based on that setups only, system will support for the process. Okay. So just for now, you can just take the simple point. This liability account is required when you are creating the transaction invoices. So we'll see when you are creating invoice, we'll discuss on that. So just go and select the account called as liability account. Just click on this LOV. Since we given the default code combinations at each and every segment level, system is defaulting. So click on LOV. As per operations account value set, for liability account is nothing but accounts payable account only, liability account we call it. Just search for accounts payable account. So this account we have to select 2210. Accounts payables means liability. What is the purpose of payables? We use to track for which supplier how much we have to pay, as well as to process the payment accordingly based on what the outstanding we have. Then say okay. And other account is prepayment account. If you want to give some advance to your suppliers, how much advance you are giving to supplier, to track that advances, we can use the prepayment account. Nothing but advance account. So when you are going to record the relevant transaction, this account will be useful. So for now, you have to provide this account here since it's a mandatory. So search for prepayment account. Here, as per this operations, the naming convention they are given as prepaid expense 1340. You may take these account values because when you are going to practice, you'll be using the same value set operations account. So if you take now these accounts, it will be easy for you. When you're practicing directly, you can go and type that account, you can select it. So here simply you can type and you can select if you know the account. 1340 directly you can give, it will fetch and say okay. So other account we have as a discount taken. So when we do some purchases, so you may get eligibility of, you may get eligibility of getting the discount from the supplier payments. Supplier may says just you have to pay within 1 month, but if you pay within 10 days, discount is applicable. In that scenario, if you are going to get discount on what are the payments you are giving, the discount will be captured by using this discount taken account. For that reason, we have to provide this account as a mandatory account. Select discount taken account. So payment discount. So when you make the payment, you'll get a discount. So just capture like this. And other accounts, bills payables, and some returned earnings, etc. Retainage accounts, all these accounts. So what are the accounts required based on the future when you are working on payables application? Will be providing those accounts. Otherwise, you cannot work on the respective process also. We'll come back to these financial options and we'll be providing which accounts required based on the which future we are going to understand. We'll set up and we'll be working. For now, these three accounts are enough, which are mandatory. The next tab is supplier purchasing. So let me ask you one question here. The receiving options we are setting at what level? Anyone? Receiving options. We configured receiving options today. What level we are setting up those receiving options? We discussed that point today. What level?
At the inventory level we set up.
Yeah, good. So inventory level. So now if you look at financial options, see here what level we are setting the financial options? Operating unit level. Just notice these points. Okay, fine. So now next tab is supplier purchasing tab. Go to supplier purchasing tab. And here you have to select your inventory organization. What is the meaning of selecting inventory organization? It's very simple. So inventory will be under specific operating unit. Inventory will be under specific operating unit. As a part of these financial options, we have to specify under this operating unit, okay, under this operating unit, which inventory organization we have. That you have to select. Just click on this LOV and here always select your actual inventory only, because this is the operating means that the reality you will be doing the business. So here you have to select your inventory. To support this Hyderabad operating unit, whatever the inventory you have, that inventory you have to select. Select and say okay. So then what happens is, from this operating unit, if you are going to create transactions where you need item selection, so in that case you will be able to access the items which are available in this inventory. Okay, I am just selecting this inventory for this operating unit. That means in the system process what happens is, so from this operating unit, if you are going to create the purchase order, so while you are creating the purchase order, you need item. Only you can select items which are available within this inventory organization. Since you are selecting this inventory organization for ERP3 Hyderabad operating unit financial options. Okay, we are connecting this inventory organization with this operating unit. From that operating unit, you can access the items which are available only in this inventory organization. This is the point you have to understand. Okay, other tabs you don't need to set up anything for now. Encumbrance and tax and human resources, already we gone through this human resources where we verified. And see here, employee number method we given as automatic at this BU information level, business group info. and already we created one employee, so system is showing next automatic number is going to be 2. So just this is a mandatory and basic information you have to provide to complete this setup, then save it. Okay, don't worry about that message and all, save it, saved. Okay, here you can see that confirmation also, one record applied and saved, done. Then close it. So so after setting up this, let me go to this here. Fine, we're done with the financials options. So next setup is purchasing options. The purchasing options purely
Lakshman, sorry to interrupt. Lakshman, sorry to interrupt. Before going to the next topic, I have one question here. In the multi-arc section, one operating unit can have multiple inventory arcs. In our case, we have only one, so we just mapped EIH, that is the up inventory arc. So in case if we have multiple inventory arcs, how can we set up for the same OU?
we have to create security profile where you can group multiple inventories that you can assign to the specific OU related responsibility. You can assign to responsibility from which responsibility you want to access to multiple inventories, where you need access to that operating it from the different inventories. All inventories you can group and you can assign. That option is available.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yep. You can group and we can assign, possible. That is one option. Other option is if they need access to all the items which are there in the organization irrespective of inventory, they can go with the option as a item master they can assign, but it's like it's a very generic way of presentation. Normally we don't recommend that. The best practice would be you can group which inventories we require, and here in this setup as a mandatory you have to select one inventory, and that would be separate setup which we call as security profile. There you can group multiple inventories, and along with that inventories, multiple inventories you can group, and you can group within that group with, see what I'll do is, let me talk, since it's a very good question. So I'll say I have a 3 inventories. I'll select OU1, and I'll select inventory 1 and inventory 2 and inventory 3. So say this OU, under this OU you have these 3 inventories. So this 4 I'll group, that I'll call as security profile. This security profile I'll assign to responsibility. That's how it will work. Anyway, for our finance related, we have a separate concept also, relevant one, but primarily we'll be working on OUs only, but its inventory task is not ours, so we don't focus on that. But when we are doing it, I'll show you. I'll just give you that point since we have this question. Okay, you can group and you can assign to the responsibility. So from that responsibility, user will have access to 1 OU and 3 inventory organizations. So when the user is going to work on this, there will be privileges where user can pick the items from these inventory organizations to record the transaction for OU1. That's how we can set up in the system environment if you have that similar business case. Okay, done. Any other questions? Fine. Now we'll go and set up purchasing options. Okay, we'll go and set up purchasing options. So say configure purchasing options. As we discussed here, purchasing options purely for purchasing. These purchasing options cannot be shared with other applications. When you say financial options for PO, AP, FA, these options you can find from any application. But if you set these financial options from any one of the application, you don't need to set once again from other applications. Now we completed this financial options setup from PO. If you go to AP or FA, you can find the same as already, that is completed. Again, you don't need to set from AP and FA, not required. So one time setup, the same will be shared across. Module wise you don't need to set, application wise you don't need to set. Okay, so now we'll go and set up purchasing options only for PO. Means to control the purchasing application functionality, we'll use the purchasing options. We'll see what controls which options, high level. So here task name is configure purchasing options. So same navigation, the function name is purchasing options. See here we have a receiving options. Already we completed receiving options from inventory, right? So we created inventory organization, there we given accounting information, okay, right? Inventory information and the receiving information, or you can call it the receiving options. But here display name you can see as a receiving options. If you click on that, you can see the same. Select your inventory. You want to see the receiving options for which inventory. The setup already we completed from inventory, right? So the same you can see here. Just click on go. So whatever we given over there, the same you can see from here. Okay. Okay, that's all. This is a simple point to understand. Fine. So we're done with the financial options. Now we are going to set up purchasing options. Just double click. This is also web page. So here you can just set up very basic and mandatory information. So here I recommend you to take a note, just make a note that we'll be discussing before we get into the actual discussion. Take the point as we have three type of matching options. Three type of matching options. Please make a note. Sorry. Three type of matching options we have. Those are two-way matching. We'll discuss anyway, but for now in this stage just you make a note. Further we go ahead and start working on the relevant process, we'll be discussing. But till the time just you go through and just remember all these points. Two-way matching and three-way matching and four-way matching. Okay, we have three type of matching options. The purpose and everything will be discussed in detail level. For now just make a note and remember. Three type of matching options we have: two-way, three-way and four-way matching. Okay, two-way, three-way and four-way matching. Okay, done. So here when you look at these purchasing options, here I am going to select the match approval level. So here we have two-way, three-way and four-way. Just I am selecting three-way matching. You can select any one of the matching option. That will be defaulting when you are working in the process. First, if you understand what is the purpose and all, then based on business requirement we can select. Okay, but just select three-way. You can keep two-way also, nothing wrong. Later you can understand. But now the point here is just make a note and remember we have two-way, three-way and four-way matchings. So here we have one mandatory account called as expense AP accrual account. We have expense AP accrual account. Click on this search. Select expense AP accrual account. Accrual clearing account. Okay, we don't have expense AP accrual account. No issues, you can select it. Nothing wrong, just to complete the setup. But remember, when we are just doing all the setups, we'll keep all the accounts ready which are required. But if you are going to select this, nothing wrong. Just you can complete the setup since it's purchasing related, no issues. So here we have to select, okay, this account and just click on create and it will create and select it. But when you are practicing, if you want to select the actual account, so this account just you can create in the system and you take the account type as liability account. Okay, you may create account as a part of value set. You can select exactly, if you want to select right account you can do it, but by doing that just for testing you are not going to achieve anything. Just you may do it based on your interest. Okay, done. Here if you look at this document numbering, the RFQs, request for quotation and the quotations, POs, requisition, all we call as documents. For that, when you are creating the RFQs, quotations, purchase orders, requisition, how system has to generate the numbering, the preference you can set up here. By default, here we have manual, but when we are working, the clients will be using generally automatic numbering. So I'm going to set up. So when we are creating the requisition, the system has to generate automatic numbering for requisition. So entry, I'm selecting as automatic. Okay. And select here quotation number also automatic. And select PO number automatic. Select equation number also automatic, since we are setting up automatic numbering. So generally it should not be alphanumeric. In case of manual, you may go with alphanumeric. If it is automatic, it should be numeric only, right? Just change to numeric. And what should be the starting number? Next number means what should be the first number what system has to take. So that you can specify. You may give 1 1 1. So 1 you can give, it is just refreshing. Just provide 1. That's all. So just provide all this information, ignore that message, nothing. Okay. So which are mandatory, just you can provide those details here. I just provided a expense API accrual account, and I'm setting up numbering for RFQs, quotations, PO requisitions, and all done. After giving this information, you can click on save. Okay, so your changes have been saved. Done. You can just click on cancel to come out from this form. Okay, done. Also you can close from here. Anyway, we saved it. You can close from here. Done. We completed purchasing options, basic information. Now we'll talk about approvals. So I think it's almost 9 o'clock. Okay, we'll see in tomorrow's session. Okay, so what are the different type of approvals we have, and we'll discuss. And for our understanding, even not that much mandatory for us, just I'll take you through the approvals, how we can set up, and we'll be testing also at the time of requisition creation and the PO creations. Okay, so any questions based on today's session, please? Any questions, please? Any questions? Fine. If no questions, we can wind up the session for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time, sharp 7 o'clock. Okay. So, and see you tomorrow. Have a good day and good night. Thank you all.